welcome back to another video. Your girl is back and we're gonna get right into it. So to start off, I'm gonna go ahead and trace her brows, and to do that I'm using the Morphe pencil in the shade Java. So when you're doing the brows, it's pretty simple for the most part. You want to follow your client's or model's actual brow shape. So all I'm doing here is tracing the bottom of her brow, just so that we get a precise shape. You don't need the client's brow to be no bigger than it actually is or any smaller. So I'm going to do the same thing for the top. I'm going to go ahead and trace it. I'm going to make sure I include her arch, and then I'm going to make sure I connect the two lines at the end to create a tail. And then you're going to want to go ahead and fill in the brow. So I like doing hair-like strokes when I get to the front, just to give the brow a more natural look. Your spoolie is your best friend. You're going to use your spoolie to blend everything in and pick up extra product. And of course, you're going to repeat the same steps for the other brow. I'm going to go ahead and clean up my brows, and I'm going to go in with the Too Faced concealer, and this is in the shade Cookie, and I'm starting up at the arch and bringing it down towards the tail. I like doing the arch first because I do feel like it's the most difficult part of the brow, so I like getting that out of the way. Just act like you're tracing or coloring in a coloring book. Follow the actual shape of your client's brow. There's no need to create a new shape unless they have no arch or unless they ask you to. So just act like you're tracing something and follow the shape of their brow. So now I'm going to go ahead and blend in that extra concealer, and I'm also using this as a base for my eyeshadow. So we're just going to tap, 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 blend it in. You want to be careful that you don't touch your brow and you don't mess up. The only time I really go into the brow is at the beginning because we don't want a boxy look. For the first palette, I'm going to go in with my Jaclyn Hill Divine Neutrals palette, and the first shade I'm going in with is Boo Bear. I'm going to go ahead and take Boo Bear and pack it on the crease. So you just want to pack your first shade first. You want to get the pigmentation and the color that you like, and then you can go into blending. So literally all I'm doing is just packing that color, building it up into the crease. So I'm just going back and forth, building up that color to how I like it, how dark I want it, etc. I also do blend my browns and neutral eyeshadows into the beginning of the brow because I wanted a more natural vibe, and also when we contour or bronze, it's also going to go into that area. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab the next shade, which is Good Vibes, and I'm going to use that shade to blend out the harsh edges of that previous color that we used. So I'm literally going right on top just to blend out the harsh edges. I am not packing the shade, I'm only blending. So think of it as diffusing that harsh line or that harsh color. You want your eyeshadow to look like an ombre effect, a fading effect, instead of a harsh line. So I decided that I did want the crease area to be a little bit darker, so I did grab a smaller brush and I went in with that darker brown, and all I'm doing is straight blending it into the crease. eyeshadow is literally all about blending, so to blend out the harsh edges of that dark eyeshadow that we just used, I'm going to go back in with Boo Bear. Now I'm grabbing my P. Louise Rumor Zero base to cut my client's crease. So when cutting the crease, you want to make sure that you have a round head brush and you want to make sure that it is flat. You cannot cut someone's crease with a fluffy brush. I like to get both sides of my brush wet with product just in case I have to flip it over. You also never want too much product on the brush because it will cake up around the crease. So when doing a cut crease, you more so want to follow the shape of your client's eyeball. So for the most part, you could usually see it. If you can't, a technique that I like to do is to pull up that skin above the brow just to give me a clear view. So the next eyeshadow palette that I'm going in with is the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes eyeshadow palette. And we're going to go in with that gold and I'm going to pack it into the crease and I'm going to build it up because I want as much pigment as possible. And you always want to make sure that the eyes are at least sisters if they're not twins. So always make sure that you're matching one eye to the other. So if one is not as shiny or, as pigmented as the other one, just keep adding more product until it is. I'm going to go back in with Boo Bear to close off the cut crease. Unless you are doing a full cut crease, you never want to leave your cut crease like that. It will look unfinished and not neat. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my Sephora liner to create my wing. I'm doing my 3-step method. We're going to start from the inner tear duct going upwards at an angle, then the outer tear duct going upwards at an angle, and the last line is going to connect them. Then all that's left to do after is to fill it in. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my lash glue. You want to make sure that you're using a lash glue that does dry clear. And I'm going to go ahead and place it on the eyelids. And y'all, please keep in mind when you're using glitter, you want to make sure that you're evenly placing your glitter, because if you do place too much glitter on one spot, the eyelids can get heavy. So make sure that you're tapping around and moving around to evenly place your glitter. Now that we are done with the eyes, we're going to move on to the face, and I'm going to go ahead and moisturize her face with my Embryolisse. And I'm using a brush because I'm not a fan of rubbing my hands, especially with long nails on people's faces. So the brush is always the best option for me. And I'm just going to rub that in with that brush until it disappears. Next, I'm going to prime, and I'm going in with my Milk Hydro Grip. You guys, the only reason I use this is because I ran out of the e.l.f. The e.l.f. works just as fine, if not a little bit better. It's more tackier. So yeah, since I have this here, we might as well finish it. And I am also using the same brush to blend that into her skin. So for foundation today, I am using 2 different brands. I'm using my Anastasia and my NARS. The shades will be in the description box below. And I'm going to go ahead and carve out her brows. So I do like using foundation for the top of the brows because for 2 reasons. You don't want a halo brow. And what that is when there's a white cast on the bottom and on the top. And the other reason is because now that I used it for her brow, I know that that's a good shade for her face. When cleaning the top of the brows, I use the same method as the bottom. You're just going to follow the shape of her actual brow. The only thing is you want to make sure that you're not cutting off her arch. And that is important because our arch can make and break our brow. So you more so want to move your brush and carve and get in a position that's comfortable for you so you can get a clear view of the brow and make sure that it is nice and sharp. I go ahead and apply foundation to her face. I'm using the same two shades that we used to carve out the top of her brows, and I'm also using the same brush that we used to clean her brows. So all I'm doing is just applying it on her face, and I'm avoiding her under eye. I'm gonna go ahead and spray her face just so her face could set while I'm blending it. So to blend her foundation in, I'm using my Real Techniques Insta Cheek brush. You guys already know this brush is my holy grail. I'm tapping the foundation in. Please don't swipe. Swiping leaves streaks, and you do not want streaks in your foundation. You also want to make sure that you're getting under the chin area and starting at the neck as well. All of that is part of the face. You don't want to miss those areas. So just blend, 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 tap, tap, tap that foundation into the skin. You also want to be careful around their edges. Again, wigs are expensive, so I usually go in with a smaller brush to help me out with that. I'm going to be using two concealers today. The first one is in the shade Cookie, which we had used to carve out her brows. I didn't get any footage of me applying the concealer, unfortunately, but I just applied it under the eyes, the nose, the forehead, and the upper lip, and I'm using a damp beauty blender to blend everything in. I always want to let your concealer sit for at least 15 seconds, and I always blend the under eyes last because I like when they sit the longest, because you get the most coverage out of your concealer the longer it sits. Just want to make sure that your client is looking up when blending the under eyes, because that is where we crease the most, so you want to pay the most attention to those areas. Now I'm going to go in with my second shade in Sand, same concealer, Too Faced, and I'm only going to apply this under the eyes and the nose because those are the areas that I want to stand out the most. To blend out the second concealer, I'm going to go in with a brush only because I want a more full coverage look. And sometimes when you do use a beauty blender, it does pick up some product, so it's not as full coverage. Now we're going to go ahead and set her concealer, and the setting powder that I am using is the Huda Beauty setting powder in the shade Poundcake. And I'm using my powder puff to more so push that product into her skin. I'm not going to let too much loose powder sit. You want to work that powder into the skin. Act like you're just pushing it in, not so much as baking, just setting. And then I'm going to go ahead and set all the other areas, the forehead, the nose, the upper lip, and the chin. Bronze, I'm going in with my Juvias Place bronzer, and this is in the shade Tan, and I'm going with my Morphe E4 brush, and I'm going in with that darker shade, and I'm just packing it in to her skin. So under her cheekbone, her forehead, her jawline, and her chin. So to contour the nose, I'm going to start at the beginning of the brow and I'm bringing it down on both sides to narrow the nose. So for blush, I'm grabbing my Juvias Place blush, and this is in volume 4, one of my favorite blushes right now. And you more so want to build up your blush. You never want to go in too harsh. So I'm just going to start packing it and building it up as I go. Blush is always the first thing to disappear, so you could always reapply it at the end. I'm going to go ahead and grab that same setting powder to carve out her jawline to give a more structured and chiseled look. Now we're going to go back into that Morphe palette and we're going in with the shade Boo Bear to smoke out the bottom lash line. If you put eyeshadow on the top, you always want to put eyeshadow on the bottom or the look is going to look incomplete. So we're finally moving on to lashes. She had a hard time picking which one she wanted, so that's why we did try on both lashes. This one that we're putting on is Fairy, and the other one that she's gonna try on is For the Girls. So yeah, both lashes are from my lash line. They are available to purchase. I will put the link below, so make sure you guys go grab your lashes before it all sells out. You guys let me know in the comment section which lash was your favorite, especially for this glam. I'm definitely gonna have to go with For the Girls. So in the end, we end up choosing For the Girls because she definitely wanted a more full and fluffy look. Well, as you guys know, I always apply the glue to the lash line because it's easier that way. The lashes won't have any other place to stick but to where the glue is applied, so it's easier to put on lashes and less messy. So for the lips, we're going to start off with our Juvias Place lip liner, and this is in the shade Cola, and all I'm doing is following the natural shape of her lips. Always remember to blend out the liner because you don't want it to be too harsh or dark. Lips today, we are going to be using my liquid lipstick in the shade Lover Girl. Lover Girl does dry matte and it is a pink nudish shade. We're going to place that at the center of the lips and then blend. So once your client is done blotting their lips together, you're either going to grab an applicator or a brush to blend out the rest of the product into the liner so it can create that ombre look. So we did want to go with a more liner and less lipstick look, but you guys can always change it up as you please. So all I'm doing here is just adding a tad bit of contour to the areas where we bronzed because I wanted a little bit more structure to the face. And I'm also going to do the same thing to the nose. And to achieve this, I am using my Black Radiance contour palette in medium to dark. I'm going to go ahead and grab my MAC Studio Fix powder in NC50 to dust off the powder all over the face. I'm going to get everywhere except for under the eyes. You can also use your pressed powders to tone down the face as well. Now I'm grabbing another MAC powder, and this is in the shade C8, and I'm going to go directly under the eyes. So I like to go in with a lighter shade just to keep the under eyes bright. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply mascara to the bottom lashes. Always, always, always apply mascara to the bottom lashes. It brings out the eye and gives it a more sultry look. Look at the difference in the eyes with mascara and without. So always use mascara. It doesn't matter if your client says they don't have lashes on the bottom, bring them bad boys out. I'm going to go ahead and grab my Wow Brow Gel from e.l.f. and this is in the shade Neutral Brown, and I'm going to comb through the brows with this. It not only keeps the brow hairs in place, but it also gives the brow a more natural look. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my Charlotte Tilbury setting spray. I'm going to spray her face down, and I'm going to push in the product while fanning her face. This technique is going to help get rid of any cakey look that the face may have and give the face a subtle glow. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my Manali highlighter, and this is in the shade Strobe Light, I believe. And I'm grabbing a highlighter brush from Morphe, and I'm just putting that on the apples of her cheek. I'm going to put some on the tip of her nose and the bridge of her nose. Now I'm grabbing my JLaRue loose pigment, and this is in white gold, to put in the inner corners of her eye. I'm going to go ahead and lock everything in with my One Size setting spray, and I'm going to go ahead and fan and push that in with my brush as well. And this is the finished look, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to shop all my products at www.TheFairyMuva.com. See you guys soon.